All right, when you talk real estate, everybody wants to know what's happening with the dream homes, the high-end stuff, but also the marketplace. Joining us on the show, he's an award-winning realtor, great friend of the show, Seth O'Byrne. Good to have you here, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about that luxury market. It's kind of a fun topic of conversation, but it's also a very different market from what we see in just your traditional median price real estate. What's happening up there?
Yeah, so it's been an interesting time for San Diego. I think we've seen the convergence of two things, right? So San Diego right now is an international market, and we have this new kind of excitement and energy from the international community that is pushing some of these ultra premium luxury listings out the door and getting them sold quickly in San Diego, which they'd have a harder time 10 years ago. At the same time, I do think we're seeing a little bit of a slowing of the luxury market. I don't think trade wars are helping us. Fear of interest rates does affect buyer psychology. So I think those things are interesting. But I think in general, super prime, ultra perfect luxury real estate in San Diego is selling just as quick, if not quicker, than ever.
Well, you have the median home price where we've heard the low inventory thing now for years. You put the home on the market, it's going to sell. When you get to the higher price range, you're talking smarter dollars in a different marketplace altogether. So tailoring an actual marketing plan and a strategy around it, I think, is the real key ingredient. And honestly, I've been traveling the country for the last couple of years launching the show. We handpicked the best realtors in every city. I've never met a better marketer of real estate than what this guy does. Great guy to follow on social media just because it's interesting and entertaining. But talk to me about properties and marketing them. I know you have some on the market right now. I mean, take us up the coast.
Yeah, so almost to the very end of Point Lomas Peninsula, which I think is one of the more interesting coastal land masses in San Diego. It juts right out into the ocean. On one side is the San Diego Bay overlooking Coronado downtown. On the other side is the Pacific Ocean and Sunset Cliffs, which is some of the best surfing beaches in San Diego. So you've got access to yachting, boating, downtown lifestyle, urban retreat stuff, and then you've got the ocean right there. We've got a property, 3516 Hugo, which is very cool. And this property is in Fleet Ridge 2, which means the views are fully protected, which is a big deal. And the views are as close to a postcard of San Diego as you could ever get, sub $2 million. You know, this property is super cute. It's very approachable. I think it's a very friendly beach house, but it has all the modern conveniences you would want. It's got this very nautical, cool kitchen setup, but the views are absolutely incredible. You know,
you're close to everything. So take us up the coast. Right? What else you got?
So we've got a lot of great properties, but one of them that I love, which is a really cool property, I think, I believe it's the largest home on the Sea Cliff in Encinitas. It is just about 9,700 square feet, almost a 10,000 square foot, three-story house. Enormous home, very stately, but from the exterior, kind of similar to that property in Point Loma, it's got this Cape Cod vibe, so it's very approachable. So, you know, if you want 10,000 square feet and 7 bedrooms and, you know, 74 feet of ocean frontage with very nearby access to the sand, this is great. But from the outside, it's kind of a sleeper. You wouldn't know that it was so incredible. But from the Sea Cliff, every surfer in Encinitas knows this house. It's famous.
So how do you capture the story of that house, which you just described very authentically here, and how do you create that story and get it out to potential buyers? Earlier you were talking about international buyers. How do we create the story and how do we get it out?
So I think that the beach lifestyle is really romantic, right? And I think when you think beaches, you think one of two things, right? You think this kind of romantic vibe between two people who buy this little home for their life.
Definitely in Encinitas.
Definitely in Encinitas. We thought family. So we actually worked with a local talent agency and created a video where it was a daughter waking up the father in the bedroom in the morning. The sun was just coming up, and he's teaching her how to surf at the beach right in front of the house.
Wow!
And it was fun. We put a really cool filter on it. It was very emotional. It was evocative. It was a very different way of showcasing, you know, an almost $10 million property. But we thought that the buyer of a Cape Cod property like this that has 7 bedrooms is probably a family-focused person. So we crafted the marketing around that.
I absolutely love that, man. It's just so many agents these days just create this cookie cutter plan that their corporation told them how to do, and they're not tailoring it. I think what you called it years ago is bespoke marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's years ago. You've coined this thing, and now people are trying to catch up with you as you're blazing new trails. And then you got this property that I saw on social media, which is ridiculous. It's a winery.
Manzanita Ridge Winery.
Yeah, so finish us off with that one.
Yeah, so we just priced it at $2.25 million. This property's on 9 acres.
Outrageous,
No,
right? I mean, $2.25 million.
So this, I joked when we first released the property, the wine that is produced on this vineyard, which is part of the property that's for sale, which you can keep or not keep the vineyard, but it's there.
Wow.
It produces more gold medals than Shaun White. Just think about that, right? I mean, it has so many gold medals for its primarily Zinfandels. You don't realize this, but actually Southern California produces incredible wine.
Mm-hmm.
Manzanita Ridge probably has the best, and we have an amazing Tuscan, very old world home for sale with fountains and secret gardens and walking trails, and you can, if you're a beekeeper, there's a place for your bees. It's on an amazing promontory in Escondido. It's every bit as luxurious as Rancho Santa Fe, but because it's where it is, in this area off a street called Lotus Pond, you can't see any neighbors. Mm-hmm. So if you want to check on your grapes naked, I've got a great house for you.
Naked grape checking.
Which is
Watch
not.
out for the bees, though.
We never put that in the MLS. but I think, yeah, look out for the bees. But I think it's amazing. You know, it's 9 rolling hills. It's absolutely stunning. Everyone who's looked at the property is seeking, you know, to have access to the beach in San Diego, but 25 minutes inland, you can't see a soul.
So very private.
Very private. It's a great place, I think, for a fast-paced CEO. Someone who's, you know, a hardworking person who goes, you know what, by the time I get home from work, I want to turn off the world and live in my own kingdom.
Yeah.
With amazing wine as well.
Fascinating. We got to get you back on the show because I want to know who ends up buying these amazing properties.
Yeah.
Seth O'Byrne, luxury specialist, Sotheby's. Always good to have you on the show, man.
Thank you.
More of the American Dream coming up next. All right, welcome back to the American Dream. One of our favorite guests who truly empowers the very mindset of the American Dream. Good friend, Grant Cardone. Grant, welcome to the show.
Always good to see you, man. Dream big, baby.
Yeah, what do you think of those people who say the American Dream is dead?
Well, look, they're dead. They're dead. They quit. They lost too many times. You mounted up too many losses. I know, I've been there. I gave up on my dreams because I mounted up so many losses, and I was surrounded by so many people like me that I gave up on the dream. And a guy told me one day, he's like, look, dude, if you don't work, if you don't show up, if you don't push, the dream will not show up for you.
Yeah, so that's the truth, man. The moment we stop dreaming is the moment I think we are dead, right?
And you got to keep showing up every morning. So I know a lot of people out there just, you know, want to look at the bathroom mirror and say they're going to be rich or they're going to be happy or they're going to be married and they're going to get the beautiful girl or the beautiful guy. But you got to show up in the right places. You got to take action, and you got to be willing to give up some stuff.
For those who would be looking into doing this for the first time, what are the first steps you take? Because obviously when you're biting off a duplex, a fourplex, or you're talking about 20, 30, 40 units, where do you get started for someone who's new to it?
I lay it out in my book, Craig, exactly what property people should be looking for. I would warn people about the duplex and the fourplex and the eightplex. Those are the first properties that went back in 2008, 2009. There's a certain number of properties and a calculation that produce enough cash flow so that you're not the landlord prisoner. You know what I mean? Where you're taking every phone call, you're answering every toilet backup, every termite issue. That's the reason people don't do real estate, because they don't want to deal with tenants.
Sure.
So I've come up with a formula where you can actually create wealth, get income, pay down the debt like you talked about, and sit and wait for the appreciation that's going to come over time. San Diego, by the way, is one of the most fantastic rental markets in the country.
That was my next question. What areas do you like for these multi-units?
Anywhere where the rent delivered to the marketplace is cheaper than owning a home, and where you can offer affordable, I'm talking $1,500 to $2,300 a month rents or lower, and where you don't probably have rent control. I'd be very careful in the California market of rent control, but I would look in high barrier markets, meaning it's difficult to build there and or very expensive to build. I love Texas. I love Florida. San Diego is just a lockout market. Rents will continue to go higher there, even though the tenants don't like that. It'll be great for landlords long term.
Well, you tried to squeeze an entire book in just a matter of a few minutes, so let's do this, Grant. Anybody who wants to get the free copy of your book, that's a really generous offer. Let's have them reach out to your website, get a free copy of the book, read about it, learn. Grant, thank you so much for coming on The American Dream and sharing some knowledge on investing in real estate. Really appreciate it.
Always good to be with you.
All right, man. That guy is living the American dream, a true success story. Awesome guy. Really, if you want to reach out, hit up his website. You get that book for free. Kind of a cool thing he just gave out there. More of the show coming up next. Well, as you know, the American Dream is a national program where we focus on business, the entrepreneurial spirit, overcoming adversity, finance, the market, all things that are relevant to empowering your American dream. But a big topic of conversation on this show is housing. So what we do is we integrate local, top-producing, award-winning realtors to cover a wide range of topics on that subject, different micro markets, different niche subject matter. Housing is such a big topic, so we're going to bring you a lot of information right now from some of the best in your market. Let's check out these interviews.
Welcome back. Next up on the show, we have the CEO and COO of the Trey Group, Keller Williams City View. Please welcome back to the American Dream, JJ Garena and Bobby Cortez. Hi guys, how you doing?
Hello.
Great, how are you?
I'm doing great. It's always great to have you both on. So Bobby, I want to kind of direct the first question to you. I know that you've been in residential real estate, but really you and your team, you're pretty diversified. So what other types of clients do you service?
Well, we do everything residential, so that goes for investors, buyers, sellers, and everything that goes into that. And we also dabble into commercial, or not dabble, but JJ went headfirst into commercial here a couple of years ago, and he's doing really well at it, actually.
Sounds surprised.
Yeah, shocked.
Well, I'm not surprised whatsoever. JJ, how do you really service your business owners and franchisees?
So it's exciting because obviously it's less emotional with the commercial side, and so we get to sit with business owners. I'm on a bunch of boards of Chamber of Commerce, so we have a really good connections with city councilmen all over the city. But for the most part, with business owners, we help them either expand what they're currently using as far as retail or office space, or even sometimes flex or industrial, or we can help them downsize too. Because right now with the emerging tech companies, it's less people and more servers. So we get to really sit down with them and analyze their business and figure out what's the best fit for them and see how they can either save money and negotiate on their behalf if they need to get bigger space.
Perfect. So you mentioned tech a little bit. So what if you do, or what if they are a startup company? How can you really help them? And then how does a business owner know when it's the right time to buy?
So with the tech boom that's happening, almost all of our clients in that sector are startups. So it's very exciting. We get to send them to, we have a lot of partnerships with University of Texas San Antonio. They have a free SBA business planning clinics that we send them to. They get a free business plan. They can actually, from inception to the end, get enough information and funding so that they can actually get a space and be ready for an office when they're at that level. So it's almost like we partner with them from the inception of their business to where they need to actually grow. So that's a really fun part of the startup companies, because we're there for them. And I think the best way to analyze with a business owner when to buy is when it's just costing too much. I don't think people realize that they can depreciate commercial real estate, so they end up just leasing because it's the last thing that you think about is real estate when you're a business owner, because you're doing other stuff like tech or law. So we sit down with them, we say, okay, how much are you actually spending per month? And then how much can we save if you actually purchase a building? For instance, if you had an office space, and as long as you occupy 51% of that office, we can help rent out the other 49%, which would offset their actual bill, and they can actually depreciate it. We're having business owners actually pay less in taxes at the end of the year and almost paying zero rent, which is incredible.
Yeah, I'm sure they love you guys for that. I just wanted to kind of circle back a few segments ago. We really talked about how your business, for both of you, has been really booming and expanding. So are you guys still looking to take on people to join your team? How has that really been as your business is expanding, either Bobby or JJ?
Well, always. We're always looking for talent. We're always looking to grow.
I'm looking to replace him as fast as humanly possible.
It's going to be hard to do with my good looks, but yes, we're always looking to grow. Right now, we have a great team. Everyone is really working at a really high level and really able to service our clients in a way that everyone is happy. Both sides are happy. But if I can bring on some more agents that we can take to the next level, that would be a huge bonus. Plus,
that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, hopefully they share the same sense of humor both of you do. Thank you so much for coming on. It's always great talking with you guys.
Thanks, girls. Talk to you soon.
And stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Next up in San Antonio, we have Tad Chapman with us today. He's a realtor with the Momentum Group at Keller Williams Heritage. And he's got a special guest with him today. Please welcome back to the show, Tad Chapman. Tad, it's great to have you today.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, it's always great to be on the show.
Amazing. Well, kind of give us an update on what's been happening in San Antonio since you've last have been on and who you've brought with you today.
Yeah, well, probably this week, the immediate influence is the heat. We've got record temperatures forecast, so trying to keep everybody indoors. But other than that, the two things that have had the biggest effect on the market are, A, at the beginning of the summer, a lot of people put their homes on the market more than the homes that moved. So we went from just under 7,000 to about 8,400 homes on the market currently. And so what that means is there's a slight reprieve from the urgency of buyers, and they have a few more options than they had, and yet homes are still moving very, very quickly, especially when you're under that 250 price point. The second biggest factor is the interest rates. You likely know that the interest rates have been increasing and are going to continue to increase, which is why I'm very excited to have with me today Josh Sigmund. He's part of Legacy Mutual Mortgage, which is a locally grown mortgage company here in San Antonio that's helping over 5,000 families a year. And Josh is not only one of the owners, but he is kind of their flagship. He's the #1 lender in San Antonio and one of the top 5 in Texas. So nobody better to have here today to give us an update on what's happening.
Well, thanks. Yeah, the rates are still the story, right? So I appreciate you guys having me out here. The long story short, and everyone that's been watching it all knows that rates have been going up, and they're expected to keep doing so. I don't think everyone pays attention to what that does for people or how that impacts people. So, you know, effectively, real rates have gone up a little bit over a point since the beginning of the year. And so from a buying power perspective here in San Antonio, average sales price being $225, that means it's about $130 more per month to buy the same house than it was on January the 1st. Said a different way, though, what that also means is because we do believe rates will continue to rise over the next year or so, that will also impact and impede buying power. So the same thing applies. You could buy the same house for $130 more, or you can buy $25,000 less house for the same monthly payment. So while there's a good reprieve in the market with houses on the market, I still think that if you're thinking about buying or selling, get out there and do it quicker as soon as possible, simply because you're going to be paying more for the same thing in the next couple months.
Okay, so get out there now before the rates continue to rise the rest of this year. So it sounds like, Josh, that you've done thousands of mortgage loans. So what would you say is one of the biggest struggles currently for people that do want to buy, but there is that lack of inventory, even though there's been a little bit of reprieve, as Tad said? What advice would you have for folks that are looking to purchase a home?
Yeah, I'd say there's 3 things for sure, and I love the reprieve. That's great to hear that. First thing, though, is that you got to live by what's called a 90% rule, and the 90% rule is basically if you walk into a house and your gut says it could be it, not that it's perfect, if it could be it, you need to go ahead and write up an offer and make an offer on the property. And the reason is, in Texas, we have a great clause in the contract that's an option period that gives a buyer the unrestricted right to terminate the contract for any reason the first 7 or 10 or negotiated period of days. And give you the time to think about it and opt out. Don't wait, because that same house is probably not going to be available in a few more days. The best houses go extremely rapidly in full price offers. So if a 90% gut says that this could be it, make an offer and make it your option to back out, not somebody else's. The second thing that I would say is that there's a difference between a pre-qualification letter and a pre-approval letter. And that's something that you need to pay really close attention to in this market. Basically, any person can call any bank over the phone or by internet and get a pre-qualification letter. And all that means is that you give an introductory idea of income, assets, and permission to pull credit. And based on those basic questions, they can issue what's called a pre-qualification letter. The problem with the pre-qualification letter is that nothing is validated. So whether it's through software validation or actually sitting over the old-fashioned paychecks, bank statements, and W-2s and tax returns, there is a betterment or an upgrade to your letter to a pre-approval letter once you've sent over that paperwork. And so when you're dealing with a multiple offer scenario, having a pre-approved letter in your pocket that you can show the prospective seller is something that's going to give you a better chance of getting that house winning out over other offers and potentially at a lower price. And so doing a little bit more footwork up front will have a better outcome at the end. The third thing that I would say that you got to make sure that you're doing is right now there's a better flight to quality as well. So making sure that you're working with the right agent or the right lender that's locally known and approved by the listing agent. Meaning that listing agents, the ones that are selling houses, putting houses in the market, when there's multiple offers, they want to choose to work with agents and lenders that they know, like, and trust to get the job done, because they don't want to take that house off the market for their client if potentially it's going to fall apart. So making sure you're working with a local lender, whatever area you're in, lender and realtor that's widely respected, I think is a key in this market.
All right, kind of like this duo right here sitting in front of us. Thank you both so much today, giving us the update on San Antonio and really that urgency to get out there. And if you're interested in purchasing your home, now's the time. So thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. Next up on the show, we have Christopher Tijerina. He is the lead agent with Roadrunner Realty, and he brings along a special guest with him today. Please welcome back Christopher to the show. Christopher, it is so nice to have you back. What's been going on with you, and who have you brought with you today?
Hi, Sarah. I'm very excited to be back. Thank you. I did bring a special guest with me today. I have been getting so many questions this year since we've been coming on the show, and I've had the one question come up over and over again, and people have been asking, should we be looking into buying or building a new home or a pre-owned home? And so I thought the show would be the perfect environment to discuss that and explain it. So I brought an expert with me. This is my good friend, Tony Halstead. He is the Alamo Ranch Director of Sales for Chesmar Homes.
Amazing. Well,
Hey,
Tony,
thanks for
welcome.
having me,
Tony,
Sarah.
welcome.
Yeah, it's nice to see you. So yeah, it is a question that comes up quite a bit, and there are, I think, three really big differences in buying a pre-owned home versus buying a brand new home from a home builder. And the first one really that I want to touch on is energy efficiency of the home, because it's something that has dramatically changed. If you go back to homes that were built, let's go back maybe even 10 years ago, energy efficiency was not something that was on the board. It's not what builders were worried about. It's not what home buyers were looking for. They wanted the bling and the upgrades to the home. They wanted the magic of the home. No one really thought about the energy efficiency of the home, and now that really has become a driving factor for folks as they go, hey, I want to be comfortable in this home. And not just temperature-wise, but I mean wallet-wise. I'd rather spend that money going out and doing stuff with my family than having to spend it on my electric bill just to stay comfortable. So you're seeing a big drive and a big change to energy efficiency. The other thing, and I think this is one that really resonates with buyers, is the warranty of the home, because it is a very big deal. If you look at a brand new home, you're going to say, hey, home builders are going to give you a warranty that covers everything for up to 10 years on that home. Whereas you go back and you say, okay, hey, we've been looking at this pre-owned home, and what's my worry? Well, my worry is the roof going to leak? Is the AC going to go out at the worst time? Because it always does. Am I going to lose the water heater when I have 6 guests staying in my house and I no longer have hot water? Those are the things that people worry about, and you've taken that out of the equation with the new home, and that's kind of a big factor. Here's another one that I think people don't really think about openly or outwardly, but it really is a big deal, and it's something that we've seen change, and that's the interior architecture of the home. Floor plans have changed. If you go back again 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, homes were very compartmentalized. The kitchen was over here, the living room was here, dining room was here. If you were having guests at your house and you were throwing a party, you were really stuck in the kitchen hoping that everything was going well, trying to entertain your guests. You never really saw them until the party was over. That's now changed, where you're now having very open floor plans where you have the living room, the kitchen, a breakfast, a dining area, another entertainment space, and people are now spending time with their friends and family in a more open living environment.
He brings up a very good point. Most of the time when we're walking through older homes, we're always talking about what walls we're going to tear down or what rooms we're going to open up to one another. And if you're working with a good builder, they've already taken that into consideration with their design.
Amazing. So now, Tony, I'm just curious, what are some of the benefits of maybe buying a Chesmar home versus just going with another home builder?
You know, it's kind of a loaded question. I'm really happy that you asked, because I think what you're seeing is you're seeing changes again in the way Chesmar does business versus everybody else. And that was actually an approach that we took. Think about it this way. If you go out to buy a home, you know what your wants are. Everybody has wants to a home, and you're willing to spend what you can to get the wants. But at the end of the day, there are absolutely needs that you have to have in that home. And builders know that, and for that, they're going to make you pay for those needs that you have to have. Chesmar has actually taken an opposite approach to that and going, hey, if everybody needs to have this in the home, why is it not an included feature of the home? And we're talking about simple things like garage door openers or medicine cabinets, ceiling fans, sprinkler systems, blinds on the window so you actually have privacy on the home. And we look at it this way. If you're going to spend $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, whatever that number is on a home, your first step after you move into that home should not be a trip to the hardware store to get the items that you need just to make the home livable on day one.
Of course.
All right. So
Well, we're kind of,
another excellent point.
yeah, amazing, excellent points, which I'm sure are answering a lot of people's questions. I know we're running out of time, but Christopher, I just want to get to you really quickly. You know, what do you see coming in the future for new homes, and how will that really affect the San Antonio market as a whole?
Oh, there are a lot of changes on the horizon. We're being told to expect 1.1 million people moving to San Antonio over the next 20 years. That's going to change everything. It's going to change how our kids go to school, how we buy our groceries, and absolutely how we buy and live in our homes. So with that type of demand on the horizon, I have to believe that that's going to impact price and availability. So you invest in yourself, you invest in your family, and that should pay dividends for decades if you act now.
Perfect. Well, Christopher, thank you as always. Thanks for bringing Tony on. Really great points that you both have made. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
Stick around. We'll be right back.
That's all for today's episode of The American Dream. Please breathe oxygen into this message and help us combat negative media. How do you do that? Visit us online, visit our website, social media. We'd love to hear from you, and thank you for sharing our content. Cheers to your American Dream, and we'll see you next week.